Hi, welcome back to First Chapter Fridays. It's Miss Sammy again at the Boyne District Library Children's Department. I had so much fun last week. What did you think of Coraline? Who has the book right now? Who has the graphic novel? Did you guys watch the movie? Tell us, we want to know. What did you think of the book? Do you have other first chapters you want to recommend to your friends and other readers here at the library? Let us know. I'll pick another book. We got lots of weeks to do this with. But this week, I picked a new book. It's brand new, and our brand new books are really easy to tell. We have these bright yellow stickers right on the spine tag above their call number so that you can find them very easily. And this book is brand new, one copy on our shelf. There is a second book on order, so it's the beginning of a series, and it looks like the third book is going to come out at the beginning of next year. So as soon as we know when that one is, we'll have that on order too. I think this is going to be a really fun series. So this book is by an author named Andy Shepard, and it is titled The Boy Who Grew Dragons. I just love dragons. It's my favorite thing. I'll read you the summary right here on the back. When Thomas discovers a strange old tree at the bottom of his grandfather's garden, he doesn't think much of it. But he takes the funny fruit from the tree back to the house and gets the shock of his life when a tiny dragon hatches. The tree is a dragon fruit tree, and Thomas now has his very own dragon, Flicker. While Thomas finds out that life with Flicker is fun, he also finds that it is very unpredictable. Yes, dragons are wonderful, but they also set fire to your toothbrush and leave your underwear hanging from the TV antenna. Thomas has to learn how to look after Flicker, and quickly. And then something extraordinary happens. More dragon fruit appear on the tree, which makes it official. Thomas is growing dragons. What would you do if Grandpa's tree had you growing dragons? Let's find out what Thomas's life is like a little bit. So here's the intro, and then I can read you the first chapter, kind of a little bit. When people ask me what we grow in Granddad's garden, I think they expect the answer to be cucumbers, tomatoes, or green beans. I don't think they expect the answer to be dragons. But there it is. We grow dragons. And I can tell you this, they're a lot more trouble than cucumbers. Things cucumbers do not do. Poop in your dad's cereal. Singe your eyebrows. Make a really cozy nest by shredding all Mom's alphabetically ordered recipes. Leave your underwear, the embarrassing ones covered in tractors, hanging from the TV antenna. Chase your cat. Drop cabbages on your cat. Try to ride your cat like a rodeo bull. Wake you up at 4 a.m. every morning by digging razor-sharp claws into your forehead. Set fire to your toothbrush while it's still in your mouth. Of course, they also don't have scales that ripple and shimmer like sunlight on the sea, or have glittering eyes that can see right into your heart, or settle on your shoulder with their tail curled around, warming your neck, and their hot breath tickling your ear. Nope, none of these things you can expect from a cucumber. Well, not any cucumber that I've come across. Maybe a mutant radioactive space cucumber, but not your average garden variety. But dragons? Well, there's a whole other story. So, who wants to grow dragons? Dumb question, right? I mean, seriously, who in their right mind would say no? Not me, that's for sure. And not you by the look of it. But if you want to grow dragons, you need to know what you're getting into. Sure, they're fiery, fantastical, and dazzling, but dragons are not all fun and games. Not by a long shot. And it's not just the fire and the flammable poop I'm talking about. Oh, no. Which is why, my dragon-seeking desperados, I'm writing this all down so at least you can go into it with your eyes open, because believe me, you'll need them to stay wide, wide open. Chapter 1. Battle of the Bongle. It started about a year ago, and it was all Granddad's fault. Well, his and the jelly donuts. I was just licking the last of it off my fingers when he said, "We should grow our own chapstick." "Donuts?" I asked. "Raspberries," he grinned. "Then we could make our own jelly for Nana's donuts. We could mix them up too. Strawberry and blackberry, gooseberry and raspberry. Just think of the possibilities. Delicious!" It did make a pretty good picture in my head, and the vast plate-sized jelly donuts with different colored sections like multi-topping pizza. "And more," Granddad went on, before I could dive further into the jelly dream. "Radishes, beans, onions, cauliflowers, you name it. We could grow it." Suddenly, I wasn't so sure it was a great idea. Strawberry and cauliflower jelly? Ew. Anyway, I had enough fruit and vegetables to deal with, what with Mom shoveling my 5 servings a day. I mean, she even sneaked dried fruit into my perfectly good flapjacks, as if I wouldn't notice. But Granddad wasn't one to let go of an idea once it had fluttered down and settled. So on Saturday morning, there we were at the end of his garden, up to our ears in mud, digging away at what looked to me like a monster jungle. In fact, I was beginning to realize why Mom had offered me provisions for my trip to the Amazon. Without the nettles and brambles, my grandparents' garden was probably half as big and still ran all the way down to the fields and beyond. "I've been wanting to dig into this since we moved in," Granddad told me, pausing to catch his breath. "But what with one thing or another, I just haven't found the time." I stopped digging and scraped my shovel across a chunk of mud. I know you have no idea what he's talking about, but I did. I knew exactly what he meant by one thing or another. "Sorry," I muttered, because I really was. He rested his arms on the shovel and leaned toward me. "Now there's something you should know about my granddad. He twinkles. That might sound weird, but he does. There's a phrase, to have a twinkle in your eye, which means to be a bright or sparkling with delight. Well, my granddad has the biggest twinkle of anyone I've ever known. And right then he was shining that twinkle down on me, till I felt its warmth flooding every bit of my body. It was like I'd sat down in front of the toastiest marshmallow toasting fire. Now then, Chipstick, how many times have I told you? What's the deal with families?" I smiled. "They stick together." "Exactly," he grinned. "Not unlike jelly donuts. Now, get digging." So I did. The worst thing to dig up was this stuff Granddad called bungleweed. It wound itself around everything, clinging to roots, shoots, and shrubs for dear life. Soon enough, I was in an almighty tug-of-war, boy against plant. And for a moment there, it really looked as if the evil bungle plant overlord might win. But I dug, and I scraped, and pulled, and heaved, until all that was left was a patch of earth, and the strangest-looking plant I'd ever seen. It was taller than me, and my blistered hands would have only made it halfway around the trunk, except it was hard to see the trunk because of all of these long green cactus arms that draped down. "It looks like a giant upturned mop head," declared Granddad. "But, you know, green and spiky, and knobbly, too." Bizarrely, he wasn't off. Sprouting from some of the cactus arms were vivid yellow and orange tendrils like bursts of flames, and on each one of these nestled a fruit. Some were large and red and looked like they were about to burst. Others were small and green and looked new, but all of them had weird spiky pineapple-like leaves. They were so unlike anything I'd ever seen in our fruit bowl at home. I found myself reaching up to touch one. I noticed one of the smaller fruits had already turned red, but the tendril it was attached to was being pushed down by the weight of a few larger fruits hanging above. I gently lifted it and moved it to one side to give it some space. And as I did, I saw something even weirder. "Hey, Granddad," I called. "It's glowing, like those fireflies. Do you remember? Dad said it was bioluminescence or something." He said some jellyfish do it too. "Bioluminescence," Granddad corrected. He peered at the red fruit and rubbed a finger across it. "I bet it's just mold," he said. "Come on, Chipstick. I'm famished." "But what is it?" I asked. Granddad wrinkled his nose. "No idea, but we can pull it off tomorrow." I looked at the red spiky fruit that was glowing in my hands, and whether I pulled it a little too hard or it just chose that moment to fully ripen, one way or another, the fruit dropped from the vivid tendril. Looking at it in my palm, somehow I didn't feel like throwing it back in the bonfire pile. So I tucked it under my arm before following Granddad inside. Later, when I got home, I put the pineapple-y sprouting fruit on my desk and typed "strange spiky fruit" into the search engine on my computer. Pictures popped up, and there it was, right next to durian, which smell like poop, apparently. So it was dead lucky we didn't find those. No, here it was the size of a mango, red, spiky, pineapple-like leaves. Definitely what I had sitting in front of me. I clicked on the picture and read the caption. "Pitaya, dragon fruit." Yup. Now it's easy for you because you know there's about to be a dragon. But I was clueless back then. I mean, if someone gives you a fairy cake, you don't expect Tinkerbell to pop out, do you? So I didn't jump up and down screaming, "Whoopee, I'm getting a dragon!" I just left it on the desk and went downstairs for dinner. And that probably wasn't the best idea, because of what happens next. Who wants to find out what happens next? Stop by. We have this on our shelf. We would love to share it with you. We want you guys to try something new. Thank you so much for stopping by for First Chapter Fridays. I'll see you next week.